As it's Halloween, I thought I would tell a little story. If you ever need a good horror story, a podiatrist is a normally safe place to start. So I've got a couple of horror stories from my years, over 20 years in podiatry. So one patient I saw many years ago, she had Alzheimer's. She was cared for by her husband. She had carers in regularly. She had basically not moved from her chair. She slept in her chair, she ate in a chair, she was in the chair all day, all night. And he cared for her at home. He was a tiny man, chain smoking. I'm in a room filled with cigar smoke. And this lady hadn't had her toenails cut, and this is when I would still be doing home visits for sort of routine chiropody, and I'm brought in to cut these toenails, this lady, and they are about 3 or 4 inches long. So her nails are this long, and they're more like talons, so thick, discoloured, and hard as rock. Anyway, this lady, she was, one moment she'd be happy for you to do this, the next moment she'd forgotten what was going on, and she'd take a disliking. And whilst I was sitting in this room of chain smoke, trying to cut this woman's toenails, she was grabbing implements periodically to hit me with, so poker from the fire, umbrellas, or whatever she could get her hand on from her chair. And bearing in mind, her chair was positioned so everything was around it, so she could easy access to whatever she needed. And so whilst I'm trying to cut her nails, while she's trying to hit me and beat me off with whatever implement she could get to hand. Another one, which I always think is the worst experience I've had in podiatry. I was still training, and we had a training hospital called the Leave Hospital down in Eastbourne, and there was this particular lady who was a little bit problematic. So her feet were in a real bad way, and patients would come in and get seen quicker if they had a student treat them rather than wait for NHS treatment, for example. And this particular lady, she was compos mentis to all tests that could be done, but she was eccentric in the extreme. So she would, she was odd, very, and she had these ulcers on her feet and her ankles, and so she needed to come in to have these cleaned and dressed. But she was odd in that she used to wear her dead husband's size 11 shoes to the clinic, which didn't fit her, obviously, and she used to tape them, sellotape, masking tape them to her legs so they didn't fall off, so she could walk with them on. There had no laces in, but they were taped and bound to her legs. She, unfortunately, was incontinent, and she refused to do what most people in those circumstances do, so she used to just pee. And she would fill these shoes up to the brim with urine through the day. It was, I need to say that the smell imprinted on me. If I think about it, I can still smell it now. It was so overpowering. It was almost impossible to be in the room, and I could still. She lived in the town that we were in. No doubt she's no longer with us. So, but you could smell the smell in the shops that she'd been in other times. So if you happen to be wandering around, I can smell that smell again. And you'd heard that she'd have been in the shop or been in a particular supermarket we frequented earlier in the day, and the smell would still be there. That was the worst. And people sometimes ask me, why do you think you specialised in sports? Why didn't you go into, wound care? That's the reason. As a third year student, the reason came that I ended up with this patient was punishment. And so I was with another patient, and the head of the podiatry university team happened to be watching what I was doing, and she had a strange habit of standing a little bit too close. All right, so kind of not really a full understanding of or appreciation of personal space. And I told her, and She was like, oh, absolutely, I've got the perfect patient for you, where you'll have all the space you need because no one else will go in the room with you. And shipped me off into another separate wing of this teaching hospital, a private room. There's me and this lovely lady. Yeah, so that's a couple of little horror stories. Happy Halloween.